Hello, I'm Gordon from TaroWorks and you're watching Using Repeat Sections. Why repeat sections? Well, sometimes you want to get information in a single job run. For example, you're surveying the head of a household and need to record information about their children or about the vehicles they own. In these cases, you often need to relate these info back to the parent record. Let's take a look at this example here. Now, we have this contact record and it is the master of a children object and also the vehicle object. So if you have seen the tutorial video on creating related objects, you know that these records can be created one job at a time, meaning that each individual job submission would create a single children record or a vehicle record. Let's go to Survey Builder and then see how we can improve on it. Here you can see that there's an outline of a survey already built. Here we got the respondent ID to link it back into the contact. We're going to ask how many children is in the household. We're also going to ask are there any vehicle. There is a section that takes the children's name, their current age, and if the children's age is beyond a certain number, do they currently go to school? There's also a question about vehicle type and the color of the vehicle. Now the astute viewer here would notice that in this survey, each of these questions would only be asked once. So the most this form can do is to register one child and one vehicle. Yes, normally that is true, but that is why we provide for repeat sections. So to add a repeat section, click on it like a regular section. You'll be brought to the bottom. Notice that you could also click and drag it as well. So this section is going to be about the children. And one of the first choice you need to make is if this repeat section is going to be an unlimited or is it going to be based on a numeric number. So if you wanted to repeat unlimited time until you say stop, select unlimited. Otherwise, select base numeric value from. And then when you click on the drop down box, you'll have a choice of which number of questions to base it on. This is to mean whole number, of course. There's no such thing as repeating 3.5 times. Now, since we want the questions in this section to repeat as many times as their children, select question 2. Click Save. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'll also add another repeat section, but this time is unlimited for the vehicle information. Now, of course, you could add these sections in any order you want, but since I already have the questions, I have added the sections here and we'll simply drag the questions to them. Let's take stock at where we're at. So we now have a survey. We have a regular section that does not repeat. It gets a respondent ID. Ask how many children there are in the household and if the household own any vehicles. We have a repeating section and that asks the children's full name, current age, and does the child currently go to school if the number is over a certain age, and it repeats for as many children has been entered in question 2. And finally we have the third vehicle section, and this repeats unlimited times until we say stop. I'll demo this on the device very soon. So when you have repeat sections in your survey, it affects scoring, logic, and field mapping in some important way. So let's talk about that. So for this survey, I've added 2 score groups, one for child education and the other for vehicle scores. So in this case, if it goes to school, the child education will be 1, 0 is 0, and for vehicle type, motorcycle score is 1, car is 2, and truck is 4. So what happened, you'll see when I do the example later, is that if I enter 2 children and they both go to school, the score here, the total would be 2, and the vehicle also. Any score inside a repeat section will be added together. And this is why the repeated section is highlighted in red to remind you of that fact. Next, we'll talk about logic. So in a repeat section, logic works mostly the same. In this case, we want question 6 to trigger off question 5. If the age is over a certain number, we wanted to ask this question. So it's greater than 4, we want to see if they're going to school. Now you can also add logic conditions into repeat sections, just like regular sections. You click on edit, you can add a condition. In this case, we want this section to show up if question 3, does the household own any vehicle, is yes. So we would click done to save this condition. Now, where repeat sections behave differently from regular sections is that the sections and the questions inside may not choose as conditions other repeat section. So you can see it does not allow you to pick question 4, 5, or 6. And the reason is that when questions belong to an other repeated section, you may not choose it as conditions in an other repeat section. Okay, so we're going to delete that and save. Great, so we're now going to save and continue, and then we're going to talk about field mapping. So field mapping in surveys with repeat sections are actually the same as normal surveys. You would basically add the objects before. In this case, we're going to choose contact as a reference object and make it respondent ID. Now we're going to add a custom object. I created a child, and I have also created vehicles. So set those relationships, and then map the fields to the corresponding questions. So I'm going to map the child's full name here, going to match their age of the survey, and if they're attending school or not. Note that once you have mapped the field of an object to a repeat section, other repeat sections are no longer mappable for that object. You can still map the fields in the regular sections, however, other repeat sections are off limits. So again, for example, we have the vehicle. Here's our third column. Once we have mapped a field, the other fields become locked. Or if I map it here in a type, the other repeat section has become locked. Okay, so let's check what we've done here. Basically, we told TaroWorks that when this survey submits, we wanted to look up the respondent ID, so representing one of our contacts, and then adding the child records to it. So it would record information, the full name, the age at the time of survey, and if the children is attending school or not. And then where possible, it will take down vehicle information and also attach it to the contact. Now these are repeating sections, so when I publish this survey inside a job, you see this in action. For the sake of time, I'm going to show you a job that have this survey as its data collection task in the device. So here I am in the field, and I'm interviewing Mr. Hadi Heck here, and I'm going to start a new job. So the ID for Mr. Heck is 1707. They have 2 children in the household, and he does own at least 1 vehicle. So now we're going to be asked on the children's full name. Current age is 2, and the child's full name in this case is Ona, but her name, she's older, she's 6, and so it asks us, does she currently go to school? Notice that in the section name here, there will be a number telling you which iteration this is in. So this is the second repeat of the section. We're now going to move on. Now, since I answered yes to the vehicle question, this has popped up. They own a purple car. Now, note that for an unlimited repeating section, when you reach the end, the way you decide to move forward or to repeat again is to click on one of these choices. It will ask you, should you add another group? If you want to repeat the loop again, click Add Group. In this case, I'll show you, and you enter into the second repeat of the section. They also own a red motorcycle. click next. And whenever you want to stop an unlimited loop, click do not add. And that's the end of the survey. So what we're going to do is that I'm going to save this job and we're going to sync. Okay, so we're now back in Salesforce and we have entered the respondent ID for Hadi Hack. So let's take a look. We should refresh it. Here are the information that we have just entered. There is Ari, who's 2, Mona, who's 6 and is attending school. There's a purple car as well as a red motorcycle. Okay, and finally I want to show you the survey result. Note that for each of the repeat sections, the questions inside, they would have a little notation at the end. So we wrote down there were 2 children. So you can see here are the children named side by side, the age side by side, and if they answered school. Same thing happening with the vehicle, their colors, and so forth. The scoring, like I said, it stacks. So since there's only one child going to school, the score is 1. And for the vehicle score, as you recall, motorcycle is worth 1, a car is worth 2. So the total score is 3. And that's what I meant to say that is cumulative inside the repeat section. I've submitted 2 more additional jobs, so I'm going to refresh this page and then you can see how over time this table shows differently. In this case, you could see there's only 1 children, so only the child's full name 1 is populated and current age is populated. If they didn't exist, there would be a blank. And this is basically how the answers would line up. So there you go, that's all you need to know about repeat sections. So to recap, repeat section saves you time. Without it, you'll have to do a job multiple times and re-entering data where you need to. Note that scoring, logic, and field mapping behave slightly differently when dealing with repeated sections. Thank you for watching this video. Please like this video if it helped you, post any questions or comments you have below, and subscribe to the TaroWorks channel to get the latest updates.